Hi, I'm Steve. I'm the bassist for Lipstick Generation.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm here.
Hey, Greg, and welcome to the Lipstick panel. Hey, Greg, remember about a year ago when I was like, ooh, this new album by a metal band that's more about sonic landscapes than actual
Oh,
songwriting
no.
or structure
What?
came out? And I was really
Huh?
excited and made us do an episode about that.
I do. That was one of our lowest downloaded
And
episodes.
remember
Why do
about
you ask,
six
buddy?
months ago when I said, hey, Greg, check this out. This seminal Nintendo Core band just came back from a hiatus and put out a new recording, and I made us do an episode about that?
We did. I don't remember that, but sure.
What if I told you that a seminal Nintendo Core band just came back from a long hiatus and put out an album that was more about sonic landscapes than actual songwriting and structure?
Did you say Sonic? Are we talking about Sonic the Hedgehog?
Heck yeah, we're talking about Genghis Tron's new album, Dream Weapons.
That has nothing to do with Sonic the Hedgehog.
It
This
has
isn't Sega Core.
it has sonic. Yes, and joining us today we have Victor, the
Hey.
Hedgehog.
Yeah. I am here to steal.
He is here to steal, and Gavin Walls Aylesworth.
The
Howdy.
Echidna.
And secretly in the background, we have of Victor, we have Julia, who hasn't listened to this album.
I am here on Stolen Valor.
I see that she has a microphone in her hand, but it's not plugged in.
Yeah.
It is plugged in. It's just not up very high. Now it's up high.
Keeping me nice and quiet since I haven't earned my place here.
We're still just hearing that ambient noise.
That
Oh,
ambient
no.
background.
Oh, oh no, it's just ambient and really low in the mix. Speaking of this album,
It must be. It must only take the left channel from this thing. Then I didn't go through the settings. I just assumed it would work.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Yes, it
sure
works
that's
on
how the album
OBS.
was recorded
yeah.
too.
Skype only sends
Yeah.
left channel.
This is actually thematic then.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We did it for
Sweet.
the art.
Well,
speaking
it's only in there because when you release an album, it's not commercially viable to not have any vocals on it. So you got to have at least a guy singing one note with the occasional tritone or sixth harmony.
Precisely.
So typically with our episodes on the listed panel, we start by going around and talk about our history with the band and the album. I'll start because why not?
You probably have more history than anyone else on this panel than me. I'm sure I've made you listen to Genghis Tron at some point in the past.
Probably. So Steve probably made me listen to this band at some point in the past, and I remembered the name but didn't remember anything about the band sticking out to me, as it just was maybe sonic landscapes with maybe some screaming.
Oh.
And that was sort of all I knew about the band, and like Steve would mention them every now and then, and I just was completely lacking in interest. And then Steve was like, "Hey, let's do this album for the show." And when I suggest albums that aren't part of our core theme for the show of like, hey, you know, we're doing every Kiss album, we're doing every Smashing Pumpkins album, I'm like, you know what? Let's do Bat Out of Hell. You know, and they're some of the most monumental, great albums of all time. When it's Steve's turn, it's like, hey, let's check out this like really ambient music that every song is kind of the same thing and hard to differentiate, and there's really not much to discuss, and then we'll get very low downloads. So it's another one of those episodes, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see if I can say anything about this CD.
I'm sorry, Greg, that I do it for the art rather than the downloads.
I do it for both. That's why bands like Bon Jovi are great, because, like, you know what? We're doing it for the art and the sales. Turns out we like pop music. It just works out okay in the end for everybody. Hashtag this album could have used some Desmond Child. Anyway, Gavin, your turn, because why not?
So I got a message from the powers that be saying, "Hey, we're gonna do this Genghis Tron album in 2 weeks. Listen to it." Then Jim Steinman passed away, and instead we did Bat Out of Hell. I had listened to the first maybe 3 songs before the episode got switched to Bat Out of Hell. Smash Cut 2 this week. I had to listen to it for this, and I kind of kept it kept getting moved back in my schedule. Yesterday, I spent 22 hours cooking a brisket that I put on it at 9:20 p.m. On Friday night, and it cooked until about 6 o'clock, and then rested for an hour.
Nice.
So I was deep in the throes of a deep beef meditation all day yesterday, and didn't really get to sleep. And so I listened to this album after a fairly successful brisket cook. It was a little overdone,
Oh no.
but only a little bit. But it's weird. It was a little overdone in the flat. The point was still could have rendered a bit more. That's the trouble with brisket. It's essentially 2 cuts of meats in one. And I'm not using one of those sidebox smokers. I'm just using a Weber grill. And so this is just how much space this 16-pound brisket has been taking up in my head. Which is to say that this album, I listened to it after all of this, and I heard it. It,
It is technically music.
yeah, I was. It would be
I think
really.
it's objectively music.
That's true.
To be fair,
it
that
would make
bar's
a
not very
really
high. Post John Cage. What counts as music? Oh, sounds or not.
It would have been great if I was able to play like Mortal Kombat or Doom Eternal while listening to it, but I was taking notes and thinking critically about ranking this album, which I think is something that hurts this album when you have to listen to it and think about it critically. I don't think it could stand up to that scrutiny. If I had it on while I was, slaying the hordes of hell as the Doomslayer, then it might hold up a bit more.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And actually, I didn't say this in my intro because I was too busy just dunking on Steve.
Hey,
But this isn't a bad album. It's background music and aggressively background. Victor, what's your history with this band, this album, and general thoughts on the album?
As you started asking that question, I was like, do I claim I used to live in Poughkeepsie, New York in the early 2000s, or, or do
You
I
did
just
more
be
research
honest
than
today?
I did.
it's literally like the third word in their Wikipedia entry.
That is more research than I did.
Genghis Tron is a band from Poughkeepsie.
More research than I did.
I looked them up because I wanted to know if the drummer was real, and on this album it was, and apparently in the past it wasn't.
Nope.
I I feel like I had heard the name of this band in previous days because they're sort of like Nintendo Core as was their Sega Core as was stated earlier, and I think people think I would like nerd rock more than I do.
Call yourself James Gameboy.
I know it really doesn't make any sense. The problem is I like grunge, which is also from the 90s. So I'd heard the name of this band and not the music of the band, but the music of the band I guess fits the name pretty well. And yeah, much like Gavin, I actually found myself enjoying the album overall when I just would put it on and do other things. And then it became an absolute chore when I sat down and tried to listen to it and take notes on it. But yeah, I would actually say technically I'm positive on this album, but I don't know how much of that's going to come through.
It just hit me. This album is French's yellow mustard. When you have it in something, you're like, oh yeah, that's fine. But if you had to eat a spoonful of it and think critically about the taste that's happening in your mouth and compare it to what mustard should be, then it kind of you start to see the cracks.
So wait, in this metaphor, what is like the platonic ideal mustard that is pleasant to eat in that manner?
Bat out of hell. No, Grey Poupon is like Dijon.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I did mean like literally what kind of mustard, not what album. 'Cause, like I
Oh
get
no, I
I
know.
get the metaphor, and I recognize that
Yeah.
mustard sommelier must like be a career that some people have. There's got to be people who are experts in what mustard tastes like and what mustard should taste like.
I'd never thought about that before. That's yeah.
And like French has got to have one of the highest paid mustard sommeliers, assuming that's what their job is called.
Mustardier.
Mustalier.
Mustardier. Mustard boy.
Yeah.
They're all just. I like that the sommelier of every different profession is just a portmanteau of whatever they're tasting and allier.
Well, yeah, because you know how wine is somal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, soma means sleep, right? So it's like it'd have to be the lié part, right?
Well, yeah. No, a sommelier is someone who compares and contrasts the different performances, the live performances of Soma by Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Right.
I'd do
Craig
that job.
Smith.
I was gonna go for a sommelier is somebody who compares and contrasts the different performances of the band Sleep.
Yeah. Ah.
Ah.
Anyway, so I guess it's my turn to talk about my history with Genghis Tron. So around 2006 or 2007, when Pandora first became a thing that was relevant to my interests, I plugged Sky Eats Airplane in and was like, let's do a channel based on them. I don't remember why I was into Sky Eats Airplane. I don't remember how I encountered them, but this was back in the heady days of MySpace. And it started queuing up Dead Mountain Mouth by Genghis Tron. And I was like, well, this song's pretty cool. And then it kept on queuing up more songs. Then I kept on being like, thumbs up every Genghis Tron song forever. And they gradually grew to become one of my favorite metal bands that just did weird, mind-blowing things. And then they broke up. And I found all their CDs in a bin somewhere. And then I was poking around on my Spotify this year, a couple months ago, because the era of Pandora is over, and I saw that they had listed that there was a new Genghis Tron album, and I was like, this is great. Or it was a new Genghis Tron single, songs from the album, and I queued them up, and I was like, yes, new Genghis Tron, best thing ever. And then I listened to them, and was like, that was okay. Their new vocalist only does like ambient kind of stuff. What happened to the blast beats? And then I started researching the album, and I saw that they had talked about like, we put together a new lineup and we've got a new vocalist and there's no more blast beats or Nintendo Core. And I was like, but I like blast beats in Nintendo Core. And then the album came out and I listened to it and I was a little disappointed in the lack of blast beats in Nintendo Core. And then I listened to it again and I realized, wait, they lied about the Nintendo Core. They just like don't like being called Nintendo Core. So they said, no, we didn't do that this time, even though they did the exact same things with synthesizers they've always done, and it's great. I've listened to this album a bunch of times. It keeps growing on me. I listen to it while I'm working on computers, which it's downright perfect for. It's just really good, like droney background music for programming too, which I'm super into. I still wish it had some more screamed vocals, but overall, I had a very positive experience with this album, and I'm excited to hear some of my friends just shit all over it.
All right. Well, let's just
Wait, what
jump
about-
straight.
Are we gonna have Julia's background on the album?
Oh yeah, Julia, what's your background on the album?
I have a deep and long history with this band, having heard of them 5 minutes ago for the first time, and then I listened to their entire discography between.
Oh,
then
their
and-
song.
Yeah, listened to their song between then and now. And I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings about it, about the song. It's bad.
For good, bad for good, or just regular bad?
Their rock and
Bad
roll
for-
dreams
bad
won't
for-
come through.
Bad for mediocre.
Oh no! Oh no, that's the
That's
worst
the
kind
worst.
of bad.
I mean, but also that's kind of an accurate assessment of this album,
No.
which is just, I'll get to it when we get to an actual song in the ranking.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had one more thing. Since Steve brought up, it was perfect music for like kind of background to doing computer stuff too. It does. As I listened to it, I was like, this does kind of remind me of Black Mages a little bit. Kind of fits that same mold, which is like, and this, I know this is the kind of music that Steve really likes.
I like that you're like, I don't really listen to nerd music, but you're familiar enough to name drop Black Mages.
I mean,
did an
it's not
episode
that I
on
don't
them.
listen to it. It's just that it seems like I should like it more than I do.
We all know you're a big MC Frontalot fan. It's okay.
Yeah, oh my god.
Can't hide secrets from the future with math. I actually am a pretty big MC Frontalot fan.
I'm more of a oh god, what was his
Are you
name?
more
Optimus
of an MC
Prime or
Lars
whatever.
guy with the literary references rather than math ones?
Optimus Rhyme. I'm more of an Optimus Rhyme
Oh
guy.
boy.
So I actually am glad that Victor brought up Black Mages, because I feel like it is related to this in some ways, where we've done some albums on this podcast that were largely instrumental. And I feel like if you're going to have an album that's largely instrumental, or if you're treating vocals as an instrument when they're mixed so far back in the mix that you just can't really consider them to be a vocal, especially if all the lyrics are vague, mystical bullshit that doesn't mean anything, like every single song on this album, so I couldn't even latch onto a single lyrical theme. At least with, let's say, Black Mages, or let's say the Chrono Trigger soundtrack, there were strong melodies. I think we can all acknowledge that the melodies on this album are not particularly strong. They're usually a note that they thought, yeah, let's just do that for 10 minutes. That note is cool. We'll have have a couple chords go behind that note. And so while I don't think there's necessarily anything inherently wrong with music that is meant to be background, like I can't emotionally resonate with basically anything on this album, because like I can't even latch onto a lyric, a theme. Everything is just kind of one note for 45 minutes, which ultimately would have been more interesting if they just like held out a note for 45 minutes. But we got what we got.
I mean,
Anyway,
they're not Sun O. They're
Yeah.
That would have been probably a more interesting critical listen.
and yes, metal fans, I know Sun O isn't actually, you don't pronounce the O, but look, these are a bunch of non-fans here who are going to get confused by the reference. Think the Kiss fans who listen to our podcast listen to Sun? No, they don't.
Do you think the Kiss fans who listen to our podcast are skipping this episode? We're
They-
gonna get
Yeah.
we're gonna get however many listeners click on this link when you post it on the Genghis Tron Reddit, Steve.
Oh, jeez.
And if you don't post on the Genghis Tron Reddit, we'll get 0 listeners.
Well, I will say this. I like textural music. I'm a texture person. Music.
Like
so,
sonic textures.
Yeah. And I do think that the melodic weakness of this album is I don't think these songs are as much about the melody as they are the texture.
Right.
I mean, that's fair. It's just I wish they had more than one texture on this album. But
Fair.
anyway, the least best thing about this album, according to the panel, is the fact that they no longer have a singer named Mookie Singerman.
Where
That
did
is a
everyone
bummer.
else put this in their ranking?
Nobody else ranked that, just you.
What?
That was pretty low, yeah, for me.
Just me.
But it's okay, Gavin. I did rank one of your other items, which we'll get to later.
Oh, you only ranked one of the other ones.
Yes, and it actually ranks significantly higher than several songs on the album.
Oh, good. I'm curious as to how we have 11 things on an 8-song album with only one other of my takes that I suppose we shall see.
Well, so next up in the ranking are the drum parts.
Whoa, hang on. This is entirely rated too low.
I mean,
You didn't even rank it all that high. Well, I mean, you ranked it pretty high. So it's
Yeah.
probably you didn't rank it as high as some of the other fake things that you ranked on this album. You ranked this third of all your fake things.
Well, yes. Obviously, the first one being that they no longer have a singer named Mookie Singerman. And then I don't know if my second one clearly didn't get added in. The second best thing about it is the drum tones.
oh, that's above this.
That is, in fact, the next one on the
Oh,
list.
okay.
We might as well just skip to
Oops.
it and jump to Greg explicitly cheating on this ranking.
I did not explicitly cheat on this ranking.
Uh, since when are people allowed to award more points than there are tracks on the album to something that isn't on the album?
Oh.
Since I didn't care about this album.
Right. So
Since so that I realized as I was looking at this, I realized I made that error, and then I didn't go back and fix the spreadsheet because I didn't care.
right. So the actual ranking of this album is pretty thrown off by Greg just being like, the rules don't matter this time.
I mean, not necessarily, because everything else, aside from that one other Gavin intersection, the rest of it is completely fair.
You know, you said you were going to Chrono Trigger this album, and I feel like you found a way to do it distinctly. You didn't just rip off my Chrono Triggering. You found a whole new different Chrono Triggering, and I kind of respect that.
It's a whole new aggressive way of not caring. But no, like, no song was able to get more than 8 points in this ranking. So that stayed the same. But Gavin's highest charmed me in such a way. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Yeah, I'll give that the max number of points.
Which was more than the actual available number of points.
More than the actual number of points. And I liked it more than anything else on the album too. So that's why I ranked it the highest. And we'll get to that eventually. But this was another example of me not completely Chrono Triggering this ranking, in that my ranking, spoilers, is just the album order of songs, and then just the longer the album goes, the lower ranked the song is. In classic Steve Chrono Triggering style, because the longer it went on, the more annoyed I was that it was the same thing. But it wasn't. You know what? Yeah, Gish is better. Gish is a much better album than this.
Well, I agree, but that's also not.
No, like,
that's not comparing two bad albums. That's comparing one brilliant album and one mediocre album.
Honestly,
comparing one really good album and one great album.
Yeah,
I won't say which one's which.
Yeah, this is so at the bottom of the ranking is Desert Stairs, which is the only song I really cared about ranking.
Oh, come on!
Hey, we did the same thing, Greg.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Victor, you're the outlier here. I ranked it at the bottom too.
Yeah, so the reason I ranked this at the bottom is because it's the one song I can remember, in that it has something that sounds like bees buzzing in the background, and it's really annoying. And so because it was the one that was the most actively annoying, everything else was just like kind of boring background music with some cool production textures. This was the only one that was actually annoying to listen to the entire way through, which it's only like a minute long.
Huh.
But yeah, it stuck out as aggressively bad, and so it ranked at the bottom for me because it's just bad. This is the one actual bad track on the album. If like you
Hard
don't view
disagree.
bad, if you don't view bad as like not having anything you can latch onto emotionally or melodically in a piece of music.
All right, maybe we should work our way up to Victor being mad at all of us. Gavin, why'd you rank it at the bottom?
I took very sparse notes for this album, and the notes I took for this song are, "You aren't Brian Eno. Stop wasting my time."
Oh, wow. Unkind, but probably fair.
Well, they didn't waste that much of your time on this track, at least.
Hey,
No. Yeah.
So
We're not talking
they
ritual
listened.
circle length.
They listened. They're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we won't waste too much of his time. We aren't Brian Eno." That's a fair point.
He's in a
back to your
deep
brisket.
beef meditation. Yeah.
So I do actually like this track. I only ranked it at the bottom because this was the one that sort of felt most disposable as a track. Like, it wasn't until my fourth or fifth listen that I realized this wasn't just the tail end of Dream Weapon. So if they had just merged this into Dream Weapon, I would have been like, okay, cool, that's one song and it's great. But as it is, I'm like, this doesn't need to be split off. And I know that when I listen to this in the future, this album's going to be just, shuffled in with the rest of the library of music that I listen to. So I'm going to either hear Dream Weapon with the tail cut off, and that's going to be annoying, or I'm going to hear Desert Stairs without all of the rest of Dream Weapon, and that's going to be annoying. So the split is what I don't like about this.
But
So we both
Steve,
agree it's annoying. This is an annoying track.
No.
When the tail gets infected, you cut it off.
I guess, maybe.
And that's what they did.
but they still left it like hanging out there.
Yeah, oh yeah,
They
yeah,
chopped
yeah.
it off
It's-
and then just held it against there as if maybe
yeah,
it would
it's tied
heal
on
back
with a
off.
shoelace, but.
All right, Victor,
So
what's
Victor,
wrong with us?
You ranked this pretty high. Was it because it was short? You could get it over with faster.
I regret to inform everyone. I guess I have an opinion about this album.
Uh-oh.
So this tune, one of the things I noted here, which I'm really glad I checked my notes, this song I think is more successful as an ambient piece than almost all of the other songs are as songs. So therefore,
You're
I
right.
think it's actually pretty good.
I think I agree with that assessment. I don't think that makes it better, but I think you're also right.
It also is it reminds me of kind of some of the stuff from Final Fantasy X, like Wandering Flame in particular, kind of has a little bit of that sort of vibe, which I like.
Ooh,
And
you
it also
saw
has the
Final
word
Fantasy
desert.
X here. That's pretty cool.
So you're saying you need some
Yeah.
Titus laughs spliced in over it?
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop,
Honestly,
boop,
that would-
boop, boop, boop,
that would
ah,
elevate it to number
ah,
one.
ah.
And then it reminds me of the music my friend Jonah makes. And I like my friend Jonah. He and I made an EP called Much Better Computer. And that was a good time.
That's amazing.
Are you selling it as an NFT just like Weezer?
Oh, we should.
No, you shouldn't.
If you love this song, you should check out Starless Zenith.
If you love Burning Down the Rainforests by the
Yeah.
James Game Boy NFTs.
Yeah.
So I've run
NFT
out of things
stands
to
for
say about this.
NFT stands for no fucking way.
No fucking trees.
Yeah. No fucking Tron.
Oh,
Oh.
love the Tron.
All right, so actually, I'll give an actual hot take that has nothing to do with this band or this album. I just thought Tron was okay. I just thought it was like a fun visual style, but like the movie was just kind of meh.
The original one or the new one?
The original one.
Both.
I'll go further than that and say they're both boring films.
Yeah.
I haven't,
100%.
I haven't
haven't
seen the
seen
new
the
one,
other
but
one,
the
so-
old one's good. I like the old one. It's a
Steve, you like boring things that are style over substance.
It's a
That's why
book-
we're doing this album.
I mean, it's a distinct visual style. It's cool. It's artistic that it does that. And then, the
Yes, but
actual
it
the
didn't
actual
need to be a
film, yeah,
movie.
whatever. It's
It
a
should have been a music video. Like that style is cool for like 3 minutes. You don't need a feature to be like, wow, that thing was cool for 3 minutes.
It's like an-
oh,
It
but
does
it's
have
still
a lot more
going.
personality than I was expecting, but it's hard to say it's actually a good movie.
It's just like an 80s kids adventure film. Don't set your standards so high. It's an 80s kids adventure film that does one really distinct thing.
Yeah, I guess I keep forgetting how bad 80s kids adventure films are.
It's better than E.T.
Right, but that's a terrible bar.
Hard
That's a
disagree.
terrible bar.
Wow, the guy who likes this album just unleashed the hottest take I'm sure we're going to hear all day.
Yeah. Now, E.T. is the superior film to Tron.
You know what?
Even
I'll say
though
this.
they didn't do a laborious coloring process to
Yeah.
To
No, they
E.T.
did
no,
they did a laborious gun replacement
gun
process.
removal. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to watch either of those, but if I were to watch one,
Tron
I'd
is
actually
shorter.
probably watch Tron.
Yeah, E.T.'s freaking
Because
long.
Well, because also I could mute Tron and just like put on some like cool
Dream
music
Weapon
in
by
the
Genghis
background.
Tron?
Yeah, I could put this on and it would make the movie even more boring. So I'd probably put on something awesome like I don't know, the Mega Man X soundtrack or some shit like that. Anyway, Desert Stairs, it is actively annoying. We all agree. Next up on the list is Alone in the Heart of the Light. This sounds like that song from the album. You know,
Yeah.
that song where it's like the same thing repeated over and over again, and then the vocalist does like one droning note.
So this is weird because this is, I think, the most distinct song in terms of like the sonic landscape it builds.
I really don't remember it, so like I'm gonna say that about every
So-
song.
Gavin's the spoiler here because he put this one at the bottom. Everyone else put it like fourth or fifth from the top. But this is the one that like I think it sounds like a Santa Gold song, honestly, with the plump 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 at the beginning.
Yeah. I like the intro.
Right, it's got that really distinct intro that sounds like nothing else on the album. I heard that and I was like, oh, that's a really cool, distinct direction, and it's still like it still sounds like a Genghis Tron song otherwise, which, as a fan of the band, that was a good way to mix things up to me. So it's not my favorite song on the album, but it's a good song. I like it. I'm glad that it's here. It brings joy and light to my life. It brings loneliness and heart to my, or loneliness and heart light to the heart of.
What?
I was trying to put it. I was saying a thing, and then I realized I need to say another thing, and I tried to put them together on the fly, and it didn't happen.
You mean like the lyrics of this album? It's like all vague gibberish, bullshit in a random order. It's like, these are lyrics?
I'm sure he rehearsed it at least.
Maybe.
Once. It's hard to hit that one note the same time every time forever without practice.
I mean, or you can just get really good at nailing that one note and then just.
They spend all of quarantine singing one note.
Anyway, yes, I
That's what I would do.
like the song. It's a nice switch up. Maybe I should have ranked it higher.
I ranked it the highest.
But there were other things I liked better.
So can't blame me for spoiling this one because I ranked it the highest because that's its placement on the album.
It's true. It's definitely Gavin who spoiled it. Explain yourself, Gavin.
More like Alone in the Fart of the Light. Am I right?
Oh,
Got him.
Got him.
Boom.
Indeed.
Yeah. No. This. Let's see. What did I? My notes for this song or Radiohead called. They said stop. And that's it was just not good. It was unmemorable to me. Yeah.
Powerful.
For some reason, I feel like this is going to be the one episode where the band hears it. You know what I mean?
I feel bad too because they're probably nice people who
I'm
just.
sure they are.
And the thing is, it's not a bad album, but just I get nothing out of it. If I'm listening to music, I want an emotional connection to it. I want it to grab me in. And so if you're going to have an album that's this ambient and bothering to have lyrics, I want at least one song to have a lyrical theme that can be discerned from the listener, that isn't just vague hippie bullshit. And so there's that. And the thing is, I listen to a lot of instrumental ambient music, and there's melodies and that stuff. So you could do this exact same kind of album and just not have the single droning note. You could do a melody line, and then it'd be memorable. So
this one does have a melody line. This is one of the ones that does their trademark, bleep bloops in patterns of 3 thing, where it goes boop 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 over a 4 pattern. Sounds really cool.
It's so memorable, and you're right. I can't believe I forgot that really memorable hook.
No, honestly, as somebody who has listened to a ton of this band, when I first listened to this album, I was like, this sounds nothing like Genghis Tron. And then about halfway through, I was like, these songs are all definitely Genghis Tron songs. They've got all the normal structures the band uses. I'm just missing out on the blast beat Nintendo core.
Honestly, I think the lack of blast beats in Nintendo Core, and I think you used to say that their old singer used to scream.
Yes.
I think that honestly, probably makes this a better listen for me.
Probably.
Because I am just lulled into a state of boredom as opposed to being in a state of boredom and then being shaken out of it with something I actively dislike. So, you walk away with me feeling meh towards it. But there are people who want just music that is background. And if you want just background music, sounds fine. But if you want anything to actively listen to and pay attention to, this is a terrible album.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, Vit, did you have any comments on this one?
One thing is, this album is not fully without blast beats. There is one, and we'll get to it, I'm sure.
It's a blast beat, singular.
one singular blast beat. They just hit a kick drum at some point.
I think to be a blast beat, usually after they hit the kick drum a couple of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least 3 times in a row.
Is that
It's sort
is
of
that the
it's sort of like a
baseline?
really slow blast beat. They sort of sustain over the course of 45 minutes.
What is a 4 on the floor pattern, but just like a really slowed down blast beat?
Oh yeah.
So this song, I really like the intro of this one, and this is one of the parts I can remember because it's just the kind of the pulsing sound, and a very nice synth sound on it. It's got like just a little bit of like pitch waver on it to make them all sound distinct. I really like that. And then this one, I do note that, and I kind of vaguely remember this happening. I was listening to it at our local coffee shop here and taking notes and looking at other things in between having thoughts. And every time it gets to this song in the back half, I completely stop paying attention. So I know what the first like minute of it sounds like, and then I do not remember where it goes from there. But
That's
we
better
get it,
than
dude.
me.
We get it, dude. You like fourths, fifths, and tritones. And the this one in the beginning does threaten to have a vocal melody.
It threatens, but
It
you know, it never quite gets there.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Steve, I didn't go full Steve laziness on this. I did listen to this 6 times.
Oh wow.
I just wish I could remember. I mean, I remember that the song. That's the song that is this album. Speaking of the song that is this album, Next Up is the same song, Single Black Point.
This is the bad one.
Sucks.
Yeah, this is the bad version of that same song, but it ranked higher, so it's better.
I guess it is.
I guess that's because of me and Gavin.
Gavin, I know you're chomping at the bit to explain why the song is on the upper half of the album.
Yeah.
Please explain why Single Black Point is a song that I should remember exists.
I thought the rhythm was interesting. I can't sing it right now. It was very Tool-y.
My
know.
favorite band.
Yeah, well, definitely not mine. But in my notes, I wrote, "Okay, fine, it's nice." Yeah, no, it's it's you know, it's non-offensive, and I kind of enjoyed that, you know, or whatever it was. I can't remember it.
Oh yeah. I describe that as like a lot of good tension. This one builds tension a lot. And it's also got some of those elusive Nintendo Core sounding bits.
Maybe it's because I wished I was playing video games.
If the band actually does listen to this episode, I don't know who they're going to be more mad at, like all the people who just didn't care for the album, or the guy who's professing to be a fan and keeps on calling them the thing they don't like being called. Look, sorry guys, you use weird retro synthesizers. People are going to call that Nintendo Core.
Or the guy who in the chat said there's 11 songs on this album, and then I reminded him that, hey, there's not that many songs in this album. You love it so much that you don't know how many songs are on it.
It just feels like there are 11 songs on this
I'm not
album.
like a prog musician or anything. It's not like I know how to count. I'm in a glam rock band, Greg.
I mean, I
anything
feel bad
past 4 is a mystery land.
We have a song in 7/8. I feel bad because I don't like being mean to people, and I'm not being mean. I'm just like, it's the way, you know, Jim, Simon, and Kiss both said, like, we would love you to hate our music or love our music. We would hate for you to be in between because that's the worst. Like, that's where I am with this. We're just like, I can't care about it. Genghis Tron, if you're listening, which I don't know why you still would be, you can still make your droney bullshit, but please just like write lyrics that have a message the listener can emotionally latch on to. But you can still make a droney where like they don't have to pay attention to the words and they cannot latch on to any emotion. But like for me, please do do that thing, and I'll buy. Yeah, I'll put this out here. If you actually write lyrics with like themes and like messages I can resonate with, I'll buy one CD.
I mean, their previous album had several songs like that were really
Nope. From
blatant.
this point onward, I'm not going back listening to the
From
back
this single
catalog.
black point onward.
So you're saying Genghis Tron needs to bring back Mookie to write more songs about zombies and or disease and bees.
It'd be
Okay, no,
topical.
like no, like lyrics about like something that isn't vague sci-fi bullshit.
Disease
You know what?
isn't
No.
vague sci-fi bullshit. Bees dying isn't vague sci-fi bullshit. It's happening, Greg.
No, I
Stop
mean,
burning down the rainforest with your NFTs.
all right. Yeah, I don't care about this one either. You guys ready to move on?
Hang on. This is one of the ones I have a negative opinion about.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah, he's been just
as opposed to your overwhelming
My glowing review of the other songs. I think I would like fun, interesting time signature shit if you didn't sacrifice all ability to play other notes when you do a different time signature. This is the only one that annoys me. Like if you're gonna do a funny time signature, why would you just hit one note? Like the guitarist could just put a capo on and then walk around and like get a drink and still play this.
I mean, that's
Now, when you say funny time signature, do you mean like ha ha time signature or suspicious?
More like
it's like a joke where no one's laughing.
yeah, it's funny in
So
the
like
way
me
that
at
I'm
open
like,
mic night.
yeah, in a like
Or our
why did you
entire
bother?
podcast.
Yeah. It's funny in a like, why did you put so much work into this for something that does so little?
Ouch. That's
Damn.
Harsh.
yeah, so bad news about us booking a show with Genghis Tron. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Oh no.
This is
And
Steve.
it's-
This is the bridge burning podcast for you.
Right?
And you
Although
think
the
our
Salvo
contract
guys still
band would
like
go
you,
so
right?
well. Yeah, the Salvo guys. I think they liked me more than Steve, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, probably. Oh,
Well, this is sad. Um, anyway, next up, Great Mother is next, which I also remember what it sounds like. Actually,
More
this
like-
is the last song. I remember that because it's number 2 in my ranking, 2 from the bottom, because it's not Desert Stairs. So this is the last song on the album. I remember that part of it.
More like okay, mother.
are we
All
talking
right,
about
any other comments? Ready to move on from
No,
Great Mother?
this is my second song from the top. I love this one. It's got basically everything I want out of a Genghis Tron song, with the repetitive 3 patterns and the drony bleep bloopy synths, and it builds for a long time to some loud crashing guitars and drums, and then suddenly
As
there's,
opposed to other songs on the album.
yeah, they don't. I
That
mean,
don't do that.
they don't really follow the same structure all the time. And then they suddenly cut those out and go back into like more drony bleep bloops, and it's great. The only thing that's missing from it is I want death growls.
But like, they're quoting another song on this album, right? Like the main.
Yeah, the opening track.
Yeah, this does. Which actually I thought was kind of musically clever in a way to have that motif. But also, I wasn't sure if it was that thing from the album at the beginning or it was just so repetitive that I thought it was.
That's exactly yeah.
And I didn't want to go back and check because I didn't enjoy it enough to do so.
We had the exact same experience where I was like, "Wait, we've heard this before, right?" But then I remember thinking that at other points in the album, and then I thought, "Oh no, it must just be that this whole album kind of sounds the same," and I'm just going, you know.
Yeah. Also, for reference for Genghis Tron out there, I've never once smoked weed in my life. So
I
And
have
also-
today
yeah,
already.
and other people have smoked weed and they still didn't like it. So I don't know what to tell you guys.
I mean, I don't smoke weed before listening to Genghis Tron, and I still like it.
That's your problem.
I don't So I that is an artistic opinion that I have, is that art that is explicitly designed to be enjoyed on substances and not designed to be enjoyable, well, not on substances, I don't have a lot of respect for. Like if it's the sort of thing where the band expects you to smoke weed or not enjoy it, that's not cool. I'm like, well, that's just, you should have done a better job. But
I actually disagree with you at this point in my life, which is a take I didn't think I'd have.
yeah,
But as I'm becoming more and more populist with my opinions on art, we're like, you know what? I think it's bullshit, but you know what? You do you. Is how I interpret the drug art, where it's like I don't think it's very good in general, but if someone wants to make art for that specific purpose, you know what? Go for it. Make art for that specific purpose. I'm just gonna think it's kind of dumb.
I sort of arrive at my opinion from the same place of why I don't respect Babbitt. He was quoted as saying something like, the cutting edge of musicians shouldn't be accessible to the masses. They shouldn't be able to enjoy it. It should be too hard for them to understand. And like that just annoys me. I'm like, no, you should be able to find a way to take whatever weird thing that you're trying to accomplish with your art, or whatever strange and accessible point, and find a way to wrap it in a package that, you know, it works, includes those kind of hooks. And I think
So wait, why do you like this album?
because there are hooks that I like in it. But, you know, I think the same thing applies to drug art, is like if you're going to like make music that people should be smoking when they listen to, find a way to make it also good when you're sober.
I mean, I generally agree. I think that's a better way to do things. But I think if someone wants to make something that's just specifically for just like one niche subculture that no one else can appreciate, I can respect that if it's not for me. Like, you know, if someone wants to make, you know, like a new Dragon Ball movie where there's no way an outsider will appreciate it because there's too many in references, and just like you have to already be fucking committed to like this gigantic 800 plus episode franchise, know everything to appreciate what the hell is happening on screen. If you want to do that, you know, hey, more power to you. But you know, there's something to be said about the simplicity of a song like Yesterday, where pretty much everyone on the planet is like, you know what, that's pretty fucking good. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Are you saying that you think there are people out there who like couldn't enjoy a Dragon Ball movie where somebody gets punched through a mountain just because they don't know all the characters? You just got to include that punching a dude through a mountain scene.
Look, there are a lot of lame human beings out there, Steve.
I'm not saying make art that like just for lame asses. Include cool shit in your art.
This feels like the pitch meeting for the most recent Mortal Kombat film.
Which I have not seen.
Oh yeah, I watched it while I was smoking that brisket. Not a euphemism. And it was everything you want out of a Mortal Kombat movie in 2021, minus the actual Mortal Kombat competition, which is a very interesting plot point.
Yeah.
But a bunch of people have already hammered away on that. I'm not treading new ground.
I've heard pretty mixed things. I've heard some people saying that it's just like a fun, stupid kung fu murder movie.
Exactly.
I'm pretty into. That's what the first Mortal Kombat was, and it was
Mortal
great.
Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Marital Kombat. The issue is it doesn't have a, oh god, it doesn't have the guy
Noob
who was
Saibot.
funny in it.
Christopher
who's
Lambert.
Yes,
Well,
it doesn't have him.
It doesn't have Chris Lambert, but Noob Saibot isn't in this movie. But I have reasons to believe that he would be in the second.
Ooh,
Oh,
which
Mortaler
they
Kombat.
did in the
Yeah.
first duology.
Mortal
They didn't have Noob
Kombat 2,
Saibot in the first
Mortal
one,
Harder.
but he showed up in the second and kind of sucked
All right.
and died immediately.
Wait,
Wait.
No, wait.
They should-
You said Noob Saibot showed up in the second one?
I think so.
Did
No,
he?
because they had. All right, so Sub-Zero is my favorite Mortal Kombat character, so I paid hella attention to this when I was a kid.
Right.
Hella.
Because there's two Sub-Zeros, they're brothers, and then the one who's in the first Mortal Kombat who dies in Mortal Kombat 1 becomes Noob Saibot afterward.
Han, right?
Yeah. And then his brother, the good Sub-Zero, becomes the Sub-Zero from that point onwards.
Yeah.
So in the second Mortal Kombat movie, his brother showed up and was like in one scene, like hey, I'm Sub-Zero, but I'm a good guy, and I'm going to give you an exposition dump and then not show up for the rest of the movie. Okay, bye.
Right. But they like didn't include that plot point with Sub-Zero becoming Noob Saibot, right?
No, they didn't include it.
But they
So
did
they had his brother die in the previous movie, so they could have had Noob Saibot, but they had to include all those other characters in a very bad shoehorned way.
But they did include a random black-skinned or black reskinned ninja in
You mean
Mortal
a
Kombat.
ninja wearing black?
Yes. As I realized as I was saying it, like this is
How'd they come
conveying
up
the
with
wrong
that?
thing. A ninja in black in
First time it's ever happened in cinema history.
Yeah, wait. You see a ninja in a black costume and think, oh, this is the robot and smoke monster duo Noob Saibot.
Could it just be a random ninja in a black outfit because that's what ninjas wear, Steve?
I mean, usually, but not often in Mortal Kombat. They kind of need to do the whole palette swapping thing in order to maximize the number of characters they get out of it.
Yeah.
But he only shows up for like
one less
10
person
seconds
to
before he gets
animate.
killed, so.
Well.
But
Yeah,
so
no.
the problem with the new Mortal Kombat movie is that I watched the Fatality Supercut, and it's not as good as a Fatality Supercut of the latest game, so there's no need to watch the movie.
Oh, yeah, I mean, really the story mode of Mortal Kombat 11 is a better movie than the movie, but the movie was a good time. I really enjoyed it. Is it a piece of art?
Yes.
No. Well,
Right.
yes, on a very technical level, of course.
Like how this album is a piece of art that we're so interested in that we just talked about Mortal Kombat for a while.
Yeah.
Two things about Mortal Kombat. One nice thing about a movie of Mortal Kombat is I'm really bad at the game Mortal Kombat. So if I wanted to get all of this ridiculous lore, I could watch a movie. So, and then for the sequel, they should just call it Mortal Kombat.
Ah!
Oh, jeez.
And then
I
the
like
third one would be Mostal Combat.
Yes.
That one, the dude from Postal shows up and all kinds of
Well, it'll be,
shenanigans ensue.
Fourth one would be Much Combat Wow.
Well, my favorite thing about the more recent Mortal Kombat games is the inclusion of like just other random geeky characters.
Like Rambo and
Like
RoboCop.
RoboCop, yeah.
And just like the Joker, like I was in that one DC game and I'm just now a Mortal Kombat character from now on.
Yeah.
All right, so Mortal Kombat, better than this entire album. I think we can all agree. I feel like the creators would have to agree. Like Mortal Kombat is better than this album.
I don't know. I never got grounded for listening to Genghis Tron.
Because
Then your parents failed, Steve.
your parents would listen to this album. I have so much apathy towards this. Leave the room.
Yeah, no, you use this album to put your parents to sleep so you can play Mortal Kombat.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. All right, so next up in the ranking is the fact that they once had a singer named Mookie Singerman.
And this is
So-
where rank cheating really comes into play, in that, like, this is ranked 3 points above the previous thing on 19 points from him and Gavin alone.
Okay, so if let's say we both brought it, both gave it the max number, which would have been 8 points hypothetically.
It would have
So,
tied with Great Mother and had several zeros, so fallen behind Great Mother.
Yeah, so it would have moved one place down in the ranking.
And also, this is objectively better than the song Great Mother, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that we did the right thing.
Yeah, really. Hashtag bring back Mookie.
Yeah,
So the reason I didn't,
release the Mookie cut.
the reason why I didn't rank this quite as, so I didn't rank the fact that they no longer have Mookie as a singer higher or at all was because Steve described his singing as like occasionally screaming, and since I don't like that, I probably wouldn't like him being back anyway. But I do like his name, so that's why I ranked this as high as I did.
It's probably more than
Stanley's a
50%
screamer.
screaming.
That sounds unpleasant. He should have been named Mookie Screamerman.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, next up on the list is Exit Perfect Mind, which I gave 8 points to because it opens the album, and that's just the way I did things because, it came first.
See, I gave this
Also 8 points.
also
Yes.
a well. technically 9. But yeah, no, this I ranked it first not for the same reason Greg did, but merely because it is the best song on the album.
It's like a minute-long intro track.
Yeah, but it's I like the way it sounds. I like the textures. It got me excited for really the first 2 songs kind of had me thinking, okay, this might be pretty good. And then while I will not say this is a bad album, I cannot say this is a bad album. I will not say it is a good album.
Oh, it's an okay album.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's the worst place to be. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about this. Steve?
I ranked it second from the bottom. It's an intro track, pretty common in metalcore and its derivatives in general. Just standard way to start an album. It's a standard title for this sort of thing too. Like, if you told me that Sky Eats Airplane had come out with a new album and the opening track was a minute-long intro called Exit Perfect Mind, I'd have said, yeah, that sounds a little bit too much like their earlier album opening intro track that had the word exit in it, but okay.
So you mean this is generic even for the genre?
I mean, yeah. Minute-long intro song. What are you gonna do?
Highest of praise.
That's why I ranked it second from the bottom, Greg.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to
Second
get
from
rid
the
of
bottom,
anything
now
from
it's
the
here.
album. This would be the sort of thing that's on the cutting floor.
Gavin's favorite joke.
The only thing I like less is the gap before Desert Stairs.
so Victor, go ahead. Your thoughts?
My notes are a nice little intro. Actually stands out because it's one of the easier ones to remember because it's the first track. So I already know it's Greg's number 1. And lo and behold, it was. But I like it. I think I'm with Gavin. It put me in an optimistic mood for how this whole thing was going to go. And again, like, I'm being fairly negative here, as we all are, but overall I like the album. It's just like actually sitting down and listening to it is a complete chore, but having it on is fine.
Yep. And also, I think you're giving me too high a praise for insinuating that I might remember what this one sounds like.
Oh, it sounds
Still-
like
It sounds... Sure. Yeah, that's sounds about right. Anyway,
oh, they do it again in Great Mother. You remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah. They also do it in the next song on the list, Pyrocene, which is second on the album. So that's why it got 7 points from me.
So why did you get 7 points from Gavin this time? Why are you two in such agreement?
Because I didn't mind most of it, even though the entirety of my notes for this song are I'd rather be listening to Nick Cave's Anthrocene, which is objectively a better song. It wasn't bad.
Maybe this is meant to be like the Ocean style parody, you know? They like looked at another prog band that had emerged during their hiatus, and they're like, all of their albums are called Pliocene or whatever, and they're like, what if that but fire?
Yeah, it's weird. The higher the songs go, or the higher I ranked them, the less I have to say about them, really.
What a great subject for a podcast.
I actually have a lot to say about this album, or about this song specifically.
Wait. Before you do, let's make sure we get Victor's thoughts out, because I know he has a ton to say.
I like this song too, actually, or at least what I remember of it, which is basically the first half, because I do make a note that like the second half sounds pretty different, and I remember it like getting a lot more low key as it like kind of descends downwards so that you can get to the opening of the next song. But this one also I have like a huge paragraph about this song, and it's all like there's a Tooth and Nail band that sounds kind of like this, and I can't remember which one it is. Is it this
Tooth
one?
and Nail?
Is it this one? Is it this one? I think I decided it's maybe Norma Jean when they don't scream.
Huh.
But yeah, I like the intro of this song very much. Doing some
No, the intro was
octave-
the track we ranked right before this.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, like the beginning of it then, with the low synths and then the guy singing tritones, and yeah, that's all well and good. And if you want to call it a chorus, that part's kind of cool too.
I
Don't
just realized
chorus,
this
get to the chorus.
this album is like Tron, where it's like an idea that would be okay for 3 minutes, but then they just stretched it out. So in many ways, brilliantly continuing the legacy of Tron, not so much of Genghis Khan.
Well, it continues the legacy of Genghis Khan in that somebody else forced it into your life, Greg, and you don't want it there, and it's just really wrecking things. But too bad he showed up.
That's true, and also now I have the genes inside me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's also like Genghis Khan in that 1/6 of the entire human population has heard it.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead and tell us all you have to say about this song.
So I actually originally I had this one ranked at the very bottom, just because it was such a letdown to get to it. Like after that big build, I really wanted something that sounded like Endless Teeth from their previous album, where it's like big, crashy, loud, screamy stuff, and then it goes into the long, droney bridge kind of thing. That's really what I wanted out of this album. And so I kicked this one straight to the bottom when I first tried to do a ranking. And then I listened to the album again a few days later, and this song came on, and I was just like, yeah, but this is a good song, though. Like, I'm just blaming it for sequencing. I'm mad that it was the first song that made me a little bit sad, but it's so good, and so I had to kick it up above all the interlude intro songs. But it's just it doesn't have quite the dynamics that I would really have hoped for, but otherwise it's pretty good, pretty great.
As opposed to the rest of the album with those really great dynamic shifts that make everything stand out.
Yes, that's been my entire point this whole time, Greg, is I like the huge dynamic shifts between blast beats and screaming and long droney bleep bloop bits. That does it for me. That is great music, and it
right,
didn't
but that's
have
not on
the
this
dynamics.
album.
Right, yes.
So why did we do this album then?
Because it's a band that I love that mostly has done that, but they still did a good album. It just doesn't have the dynamic shifts I wanted.
All right, so next up is Dream Weapon. Looks like I gave this 6 points, so I guess this was third on the album.
Sure was.
I like the Dokken song Dream Warriors. It also starts with Dream and has a W in it. That's a cool song. The music video for that is great, where they're like breaking through walls and scaring Freddy Krueger, and Freddy Krueger's like, "Oh man, I'm afraid of Dokken." So that's better than everything on this album.
If my whole body was that burned, I'd be afraid of docking too.
Oh,
Wait a
geez.
minute.
Oh, geez.
Oh boy.
I think most of us.
You know who's
ranked
not
this-
afraid of fire? Dokken, because they recorded a guitar solo on top of a volcano for one of their videos as it was erupting.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, and apparently, like, George Lynch's like shoes were starting to melt, and they like flew
God.
away on a helicopter. And like, that is such a hair metal thing to do. Like, guys, let's fly to an active volcano because it'll look so cool in our music video. As opposed to thinking, wow, this is a really stupid idea to fly to the top of an active volcano about to erupt just for our hair metal music video.
Isn't the entire nation of Sweden like posing for selfies outside of an active volcano right now, though?
I mean, but also they still love hair metal over there, so that makes sense.
True.
And like they live there, so what are they gonna do?
Yeah. You post for selfies wherever you are.
Yeah.
It just
You
so
have to.
happens they're next to an active volcano.
They're just all big Final Fantasy VIII fans.
Yeah. And who can blame them?
If they didn't want to live next to an active volcano, they could just sell their property to Ben Shapiro and move somewhere else.
Yeah, just pit themselves up by their bootstraps and move to Nashville. Have you
Dear
heard that
Sweden,
Ben Shapiro?
please sell your property to Ben Shapiro so he leaves Nashville.
Have you heard that Shapiro is looking to play some open mics?
Was he the one who was swinging his
What?
colostomy bag around downtown last night?
Might have been.
We should just spread that rumor. The dude who
Sounds
was
on brand.
the dude who was flinging literal shit around big Kid Rock's big ass honky tonk was Ben Shapiro.
I'm ready to move. Fuck the city. It's changed.
The city's changed, man.
What,
I
do
mean,
they
it
no
has.
longer have the? Do they no longer have the bottles of musician water?
What?
You live there. You've never seen musician water?
I've not seen musician water.
It was backstage at one of the shows we did in Nashville. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh, that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate everything.
Though, I mean, to be fair, I do believe that musician water actually they were raising money for Nashville musicians displaced by
Probably a tornado
yeah
or a flood.
something a few years ago. So good on them. But the concept of a bottle of water that is specifically called musician water.
I mean, to be fair, nowadays if you introduced that would just be another brand of hard seltzer.
Yeah. I was
pretty
gonna
much.
say, how well does musician water go with gin?
Yo, oh, so many bad memories.
Speaking of bad memories, or just memories, period. Dream Weapon is a song I don't remember. Anyone
This is the
remember
one with the
this one?
blast beat.
Yeah, this was
I
okay.
forgot to take notes on it.
This is the one with like the good drum energy and all the lots of good drum parts on this one.
Clearly not. I forgot to take notes on it.
You were like, I love the drumming on this album, but I forget the song with the best drumming on it.
No, actually, I would say the next song in the ranking has the cool drums,
Well, that'll
as
be
does
number one.
Pyrocene and Single Black Point. There's good drums on this album in a lot of places. I will
Smash.
say one thing that I really want to applaud them for is that the Tom overdubs, this album got it, and that's great. Just kind of, you got your guy playing Kit, and then you just overdub outrageous tom fills over it, kind of like same vibe as like Burning Down the House by Talking Heads, right? You got Chris France on the Kit, and then
Yeah.
good old Mr. Steve Scales there on the concert toms. That's a great sound, and I love it. Phil Collins would do similar things. I wish we were talking about either a Talking Heads or a Genesis album, but then again, here we are.
I wonder if the drum recording ends up being flavored by the way the band used to work when it was just a guitarist and a keyboardist programming it in their basement. And you know how people who don't play drums tend to program drums. They're like, how many arms do drummers have? Like
Oh yeah,
5? Is 5 right? I think 5's right.
Yeah. They
Although
can do a
random interesting clarification, this isn't actually the first time they've worked with a drummer. They have played with a drummer live before. Part of the tour cycle for their previous album had live drums, but yeah, distinctly possible they just have their drummer record parts and like, it needs more arms. Go back in there and do some tom overdubs.
hey, either way, however they get there, that's I love hearing it. Love those.
It's about the
tom overdubs.
destination, not the journey.
So yeah, exactly. Something I try to
I
shoe
would prefer
into my
listening
own
to
band's
Journey.
recordings, but they rarely let me.
You're like, can I do drum overdubs?
I want to overdub Big Tom fills. Down the
Gavin,
house.
Gavin, you're welcome to do big drum fills for me whenever you need to, whenever you feel the need.
Yeah, I'll just even to your older albums, I'll just take it and just randomly fill over it.
Yeah.
At potentially inopportune times.
Couldn't hurt.
So the way I sequence drums these days is I've got one of those toy drum kits and I've got it mapped to a bunch of complex MIDI stuff. So I'll do one pass where I do just the kick and the snare, and then I'll do another pass where I just do the hi-hats, and then I do another pass where I've got one button which is randomized crash cymbals and one button which is randomized toms. So I have no ideas how many arms my drummer has in my recordings, but I'm just like, all right, chorus, so crash, 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 cycle through all those, whatever. Oh, there's a build coming up, just mash the tom button a bunch of times and see what happens. Yeah, it's in no order, so depending on which kit I'm using, it can do just completely ridiculous things.
That's
Amazing.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
Does anyone have anything else to say about Dream Weapon?
I have one more thing to say about it.
What?
There's a part where sort of after all the energetic stuff has ended and they get into sort of the breakdown section, and there's just, instead of low mixed vocals that are vaguely saying words, we then have low mixed vocals that are doing obviously sort of like kind of choral stings, and they kind of remind me of the choral stings in the Mako Reactor tune from Final Fantasy VII.
Another
that's like-
insult to the Final Fantasy series.
I was
That's
really
why I
expecting
gave it
you to
so
claim
many
that
points.
you and the rest of the Sleepy Billy Choir had been hired to do that part.
Oh my god! If only I'd been thinking.
Only the Sleepy Corgan Choir was there. I got one more thing to say about Dream Weapon. Dream Weapon. Right?
See, I keep on thinking, I wanna dream weapon, so I don't have to dream alone.
So we can all agree those are all better songs than this, right?
Oh yeah.
Maybe at least, have more memorable vocal hooks, yes.
Oh, come on.
The Dream
Get out
Weapon.
of my dreams.
Oh,
Get
man.
into my weapon.
1,000 times better.
The Dream Weapon. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Dream
Come to me in my bed.
Weapons.
Come to me
Yeah.
in my bed, dream weapons live inside of my head.
See you, feel you in your dream weapon tonight.
When you
Wish.
Dream Weapon wish upon a Dream Weapon. It's not when you dream. Oh, sorry, never mind.
Yeah.
I am
would-
only dream weaponing.
I would launch into the Aerosmith song, but I got a little bit of a sore throat today. So I'll
Dream
spare you all
Weapon
that.
out.
Dream weapon! Oh, no, I couldn't resist, sorry. Anyway,
All
so
right, so good news, kids. We're at the #1 song on the ranking. Thank God. Let's go through this from the bottom to the top. The fact that they no longer have a singer named Mookie Screamerman, the drum parts, the drum tones, Desert Stairs, Alone in the Fart of the Light,
Yeah.
Single Black Point, Okay Mother, the fact that they once had a singer named Mookie Singerman, Exit Perfect Mind, Pyrocene, Dream Warriors, but the best song on Dream Warriors by Genghis Tron is Ritual Circle.
Yay.
I ranked in the middle, so I'm guessing this was in the middle of the album.
It sure was.
I like the unenthusiastic yay from Victor, who also ranked it top. Good job
Yeah.
calling it correctly.
Yeah. This is another one that has a distinct part that I remember liking very much.
Yeah, but if you want to listen to Tool, just listen to Tool.
I don't want to listen to Tool.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't-
Clearly
usually
you
want to listen to
do.
this either. But my homework this week was to listen to this.
You know what? This is going to be something I didn't think I'd say, but I'm going to defend Tool on this podcast. Because as much as I think that Tool lyrics are bullshit, they're less bullshit than the lyrics on this album. And also Maynard, while I don't like a lot of his melody lines, I do think he's a very good singer. I do like the tonality of his voice. So I guess Tool is better than the band we're talking about today. And that hurts.
It is kind of weird that I think this is the longest song on the album, isn't it?
Oh, by minutes and minutes.
Yeah. So it
Or
is.
by at least 2 minutes, I think. Right?
It's
Isn't
sort
there
of
like
a-
an 8-minute song?
Yeah.
It's sort of the Paradise by the Dashboard Light of the album.
And much like Jim Steinman songs, where the songs are that long because they just pat to the brim with song,
Right.
and there's not an ounce of filler.
Just a
in
real
any of
complex
these.
narrative going on in this one.
It's not long for the sake of being long. It's just that's how much song is in here.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, someone actually talk about this because I don't have any more jokes about this album
so
other than this album itself.
this
This
one
song is a varsity tackle and a hell of a block.
when they turned on that synth sequencer, it made my canyons rock. This one, he says at some point something that sounds vaguely like the crystal. So this song is also about Final Fantasy. And there's the part about halfway through where it kind of breaks down, and then the synth is doing something that's like kind of in a weird, not in a weird time, but in a weird meter. And then the drums come back in, and it's a new groove. And that new groove, much like the famous Emperor's New One, is my favorite part of this album.
That's a great movie, all-time classic.
And that movie is my favorite part of this album as well.
I mean, that movie is better than anything on this album, including that kick-ass Sting song.
But the groove that they go into halfway through is really cool, and I like it.
So, yeah, this is my favorite song on the album, in large part because this is the only one with screamed vocals. Although, interestingly, they're very buried. So, the previous albums, I don't know if those would get more on Greg's nerves or less so, but the previous albums are much more vocal forward. So they're distinctly not screaming or singing. He's just distinctly screaming with Singerman. But you can tell. Well, you can't really make out what he's screaming very well because screams it sort of unintelligibly. But sometimes you can actually pick out lyrics.
I'm sure they would find all new and interesting ways for me to have apathy towards them.
I think this song is about being bored on a train, you guys. Like
Ooh.
being bored on a train
it's
through
like
Colorado.
Kraftwerk.
It's weird because it's super meta because I would be too if I was listening to this song on a train, and so it's just very interesting that they built that into the meaning of the song.
Maybe all their songs are secretly about being bored. In which case, what an artistic triumph.
Their boredom has outshined the sun.
Ah.
Wait,
I mean, to be fair, if you
That's a
like,
much better song than anything on this album.
If you went 13 years between albums, wouldn't you be pretty bored?
No, I'd be doing other stuff. Like I am now. Like I'm actually very busy and like there's not enough hours in the day. So I'm like, no, I'm not bored. I'm solid, bro.
I'd get sleep.
I'd get sleep.
Well, the way I'm going, there might be 13 years between my last album and this one I'm working on. But speaking
By the
of,
way, Victor, do you want to get involved in a musical project that'll eat up a bunch of your time?
I'd love to.
Awesome.
Sick.
Speaking of being bored on a train, Gavin, I have a vague memory of. I feel like you were on a train when you sent the photo of your nonplussed reaction to the song "Summer Turns to High."
Oh yeah, okay, that sounds right. Yeah, I probably was. I was probably on the commuter rail between Providence and Boston at that point.
Yeah. So is which this song or that one?
That one's shorter.
All right.
With
Michael
the song
Stipe
about
there.
train, this song really needs someone suplex in the train. That would make this way better.
Or someone to sail across the sun.
Right.
Yeah. Or and get those drops of Jupiter in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's do some train Genghis, some Genghis train mashups.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd actually have melody, which would be nice.
There she is in the atmosphere.
Wait.
Dream weapon stuffed in my head.
Wait. Hey, dream weapon.
Whatever
Ain't
happened
that
to train?
Genghis Tron on the radio?
No,
Probably
it's not. Wait, did anyone? Have we talked about this song? I zoned out because I'm so bored.
A little bit.
It has the good groove in the back half.
The two of us who liked it talked about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's high praise. That a whole half the panel liked the song that won the ranking. I remember what it sounds like.
The cream rises to the middle.
Yeah. So for those out there
Green
listening
button.
at home, all 0 of you, because Steve will forget to post this on the Reddit. Thanks for joining us. Wrap up thoughts on this album and this podcast experience. Steve, why did you think this was a good idea?
Because this is one of my favorite bands. I was excited that they'd released a new album after over a decade, and I wanted to share my excitement with my friends.
Okay, but why did you think recording a podcast on this was a good idea
Well,
as content for us? Because you could have said, hey guys, this is one of my favorite bands. This means a lot to me. I recognize that this album isn't necessarily good for a critical discussion, but because this is something that's important to my soul, I'd like to share it with you, and hopefully you will check it out.
because this way you actually listened to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still would have listened to it.
Aw.
I just because look, you're my best friend, and if something is emotionally important to you, like I will take the time to check it out because like you mean a lot to me. But this is a terrible thing for a podcast episode, Steve. This album sucks to talk about. Like, you know, I haven't heard their other albums, but at least they'd probably be like, I like this song because it's about zombies. That's kind of cool. Every lyric on here is bullshit. The clearest lyrical theme is boredom. Like that was the only lyric we could discern was like, I think this is about being bored. But that's the best we could come up with for this. This is terrible to dissect and analyze. But I love you, and I'm just happy to spend time with you, even if it's talking about something that I'm just apathetic towards. And I feel bad about being so mean about it, but yeah, I like you. The end. Yep, what to say?
Whoa, sorry. Go ahead, Victor.
Oh, I mean, if we were just doing album wrap-up thoughts, I
Yep.
suppose it doesn't matter. I'll just go. Yeah, I will say Steve was correct. If he had just said all of that thing that Greg said he should say, I probably wouldn't have listened to the album.
But you're his best friend. I have the best friend guilt thing. We're like, come on, think of all the things I've done for you, buddy. You can't listen to one ambient album. You can't listen to 30 ambient albums. Come on, bro. BFFs, come on. Feel guilty. I know you were raised Catholic. You feel the guilt. I'm like, ah, shit, you're right.
But even
now
though
you get the
I pretty much
catharsis of being
immediately
mad
was
about it.
like, I was pretty much immediately like, this isn't going to be a good podcast album. I did enjoy my time with it, and it was actually like a really nice way to be like, I have, like, it'd be a good time. Like, I have 45 minutes that I don't really need to do anything, and this is a good album to put on in the background of that while I'm like reading about Poughkeepsie, New York, or something, or in my case, researching NES color restrictions.
Oh.
Ooh.
So yeah, I'm glad I listened to it. I could see myself putting it on in very specific situations, and yeah, it's just that there's not a lot to say about it aside from man, synths sure are fun because you can make it so you press a button and it plays a lot of notes.
And Gavin, wrap up thoughts.
Well, I'm sure as you all know, on May 22nd, 2020, the band Train put out a single called Rescue Dog, and a portion of the proceeds went to the North Shore Animal League of America. So when you hear that, clearly you think that this must be a song about a rescue dog. But no, it seems to be, based on the lyrics, which I'm looking at now, about a guy who has just had failed relationship after failed relationship.
And so he's the rescue dog.
Exactly. Someone came and took him home, and he feels like a rescue dog hoping on a feeling.
So he's calling himself very ugly.
Well,
He's very sensitive about that
Wait.
scar, Steve. Way to be a dick.
Yeah, and rescue dogs are cute. What are you talking about?
Usually when somebody describes another human as a dog, especially in context of romantic
Oh,
relationships, though.
that they're beat up. Yeah.
You know.
Uh, and the band at one point got parodied on SNL, and then this is an actual quote in the Wikipedia. Train made a statement afterwards that they approved of the parody. Uh,
Thank
and
you, Frank.
yeah, that was done as a news story. If you look at the citation, it comes from a story called "Train and John Mayer Approve of Adam Levine's SNL sketch poking fun at them" from ABC News Radio.
Well,
Hmm.
that Train worked with that other artist who does so well with being parodied on television, right?
Dan Crenshaw.
When they did that crossover with Morrissey, Drops of
what-
Murder.
Oh, I like it.
That one was not very good, but I
Well-
just wanted to bring up Morrissey being dunked on by The Simpsons and then everyone else.
The well, I will say, look, this album, it's not one that I will probably ever listen to again. Am I glad I listened to it? No. Is it a bad album? No. This band clearly knows what they're doing, and I'm for its audience, I'm sure it's amazing. I'm just not of its audience. That being said, I very much enjoyed their collaboration that they did with Gene Simmons, Dream Weapons of Mass Destruction. That was real good.
And also, we can't forget their contribution to the Kiss album Asylum.
With who wants to be alone in the heart of the
Love's
night?
a deadly dream weapon.
Oh, there it is. Well, and it is pretty amazing though that they got to work with David Bowie before he passed away, and they wrote that song together, "Width of a Ritual Circle."
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because I was shocked. I know they jumped at that chance because they had already previously worked with REM on a version of that song called "A Perfect Ritual Circle."
Oh,
So there's a
And
little
the
known
Maynard
fact.
I think Maynard was involved with as well.
had to be, yeah.
So there's a little known fact that these guys actually invented doom metal when they were brought in as the backing band, the ringer backing band on Kiss's first album to do the song "Single Black Diamond Point."
Oh.
Ooh. Does anyone have more jokes? Otherwise, we're done.
Yeah, I can't think of any others.
This podcast is now just a vehicle for doing these.
Well,
Which I
I mean,
approve of, by the
That's
way.
truly the best content we come up with, I think.
well, there's the Radiohead collaboration, Exit Perfect Mind music for a film.
Yeah.
Oh, and their collaboration with Billy Joel. How could I forget that? Perhaps the most famous one, Pyro Scenes from an Italian Restaurant.
Oh, I was thinking it was going to be "We Didn't Start the Pyro Scene."
Well, and who could forget their collaboration with Yes?
Oh,
A lonely is
loner
the
of
heart?
a lonely heart of the life.
well, and their
Their contributions to Ace Frehley's 1978 solo album.
oh,
What's
with-
on your Exit Perfect Mind?
and their collaboration with the Pumpkins, Exit Perfect Mind.
Yeah.
And Siamese Dream Weapon, of course.
Right,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
All right, so plugs. Don't everyone jump at once. For all
Go
for
to
all you Genghis Tron fan listening to this episode, all one of you.
I've already listened to it, Greg. So I don't know if will I need to hear plugs twice? I guess we got to record them so I hear them the first time at least.
Yeah, so Gavin, where can people find your band that sounds nothing like this?
Bentley Music. Well, Bentley is the name of the band, but on the Twitter and the Instagram at Bentley Music. Yeah, come hang out.
Victor, is your album out yet?
My album's not out. But you could find an album that is maybe somewhat appealing to somebody who liked this album. I did an EP with my friend Stylus Zenith, and it's called Much Better Computer. And it's not as long as this, but you know, it's kind of electronic-y and ambient. And but the vocals are a little more forward, so be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Much Better Computer, Stylus Zenith, James Gameboy. It's probably on Spotify.
And Steve, this is probably not a good episode to promote a cock rock band, so feel free to promote Regdar and the Fighters here.
Right. So if you like computers doing, or if you like bloopy synths doing strange things, you should listen to Regdar and the Fighters at regdarandthefighters.com.
But if you like this band, maybe you shouldn't, because Regdar has hooks. So warning.
Look, let's be honest. This whole genre, the early or the 2000 aughts metalcore, influenced what I was trying to do with Regdar and the Fighters in the early days a lot. But I'm not a competent metal musician, so I just did like weird punk instead.
But yeah,
You'll love it.
I mean, it's much better.
The songs have hooks and clear narratives.
I mean,
Sometimes
yeah.
about zombies.
Sometimes about hedgehogs.
Sometimes.
Well, actually, I know we're supposed to be done, but I'm gonna go a bit longer because I want to say this. I think Regdar is a great example of being able to take weird, non-commercial ideas and putting them in a commercial package.
That is the intent.
And yeah, I think you actually succeed in terms of quality, but because we're all inept at marketing, it's just fading into obscurity. But
Yeah.
the quality is there, and I do think there are several Regdar songs that deserve to be massive hit singles. So you're great, sir, even if sometimes you make me listen to music that isn't as great as your own. That's the
Aw, thank you.
episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, I just thought of another collaboration they did.
All right,
though.
it's still going. He didn't hit stop yet. Give us a
Okay.
last joke.
Okay, we can't forget that award-winning collaboration between Genghis Tron. I almost forgot the name of the band we just talked about. Genghis Tron, Kate Bush, and Swans.
Ah,
Great Mother stands for Comfort Father.
Beautiful. Hit that stop button,
That was
Steve.
dead.